It's Jess with Emotional Fire Academy here today to talk about manifesting your twin flame as a highly sensitive person. Subscribe to my channel if you are a HSP looking to up-level your life this year. That's what we do here at Emotional Fire Academy. I put out weekly tips, tricks, and tools about how to do just that. Welcome to the channel. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Jess. I am your driver operator on this journey. I'm a former firefighter and master NLP practitioner and lover of all things metaphysical and Abraham Hicks and all that good stuff, which is what we're going to be diving into a little bit more today, coming from that angle. But also we have some NLP coming with this as well. So I love the idea of a twin flame. I have always loved the idea of a twin flame. I know there's a lot of people out there who like to kind of put down the twin flame story. If you want to use the word soulmate, ideal partner, the one, whoever, whatever language suits your story, use it. I just love twin flame. I think it's really super romantic, and yeah, I just that was always the verbiage I used, and I had been on the journey to actively manifesting my twin flame for a really long time. Years. I probably started the journey back in 2016. And it took me about 4 years. And last year, I actively created and then uncreated this relationship multiple times. It was a rather tumultuous year. It was a lot of learning experiences. And so I do consider myself someone who can speak from experience on this topic of having worked towards that goal for a while, having achieved it, having it then disappear, and then recreating it from an even more empowered place. And so I want to share those tools that I've learned from last year from actually doing this. So I am in my twin flame relationship right now. It is amazing. It is everything that I wanted to create and more. And so I want you to be there too if this is something that you're looking for as a highly sensitive person, because it is just as juicy and romantic and wonderful as you anticipate that it is. And so just having briefly shared that, this is about managing your stories. And we talk about stories a lot on this channel. What kind of story are you telling? What narrative are you using? Because that's going to be the filter then through which you receive reality. And so when your job in this process is to manage your stories, you have to be you as the person who is the creator. You are the center of you, the universe, YOU, universe. You have to manage your stories. You have to become really dogged about your stories and sticking to them. And from that place, you're going to create a lot faster, a lot smoother, and things are going to happen. And you'll be like, yep, see, I told you. And that's what I found is really sticking to it and refusing any other story. Refusing it, absolutely. Refusing to believe anything else really is where your manifesting ability comes in as a highly sensitive person. Now, I know that could be difficult because as HSPs, we receive more data, right? Or we get that extra 2 to 3% that I've talked about. And so being able to ignore that, or just letting it pass through our cognition, our perception, and be like, yeah, that might have happened today, but on the whole, I know where I'm going. You have to manage your story despite the evidence. And we're going to get more into that through the video here as we go along. So, the first thing I want to tell you, we're going to talk about power dynamics. Power comes into play a lot in romantic relationships, right? If we're putting someone above ourselves or ourselves above or below someone else and being this kind of subservient thing, it creates toxic relationships, that power imbalance. And this is also important in what I found, one of the biggest takeaways that I found in trying to manifest this person literally out of thin air. The most important thing to realize if you are actively trying to call in your twin flame, create your twin flame, manifest that twin flame relationship, is to keep the power balanced. Now, what I'm saying is you don't want to feel victimized by not having this person in your life. If they haven't arrived yet, or you don't perceive them, or you know who they are, but they're out there in the world doing something, just not in your sphere yet. Maybe they're an ex. You have to not feel victimized by their absence. This is huge, because when you're perceiving that the absence of them has control over your emotions, right? And you're kind of waiting for this person to fill that hole. And I'm sure if you've watched a lot of videos on twin flames or manifesting a specific person, you've heard this, but I want to say it in a way today that is really going to sink in. The goal in this is to keep the power even in yourself. You're the center of the universe, Y-O-U, universe. You want to keep things on an even keel, right? When we're looking at, oh, I want this person. I'm yearning for this relationship, this amazing love relationship. We're putting it up here, and we're putting ourselves down here, right? We're looking up, and that creates imbalances in the energy, and we need to bring ourselves up to the same level. They talk about a lot in manifesting a specific person to knock them off a pedestal. I actually think we need to bring ourselves up to the same level as that person. We need to bring them up to the same level. And so how do we do that? We put more stock in ourselves. We put stock in our own joy and happiness to keep it at a level where, we're even with them, or the idea of the relationship. Like, my life is as good as when I'm in that relationship. Not here, as good. Because then when they come in, we can maintain that position where there's equality, where we're not slipping into, a subservient role where we put them above ourselves, or we're, being a little bit more narcissistic and putting ourselves above them, right? We want to be able to maintain, in order to keep the toxicity out, because we're putting so much meaning in this person, in this relationship, we have to maintain an even keel power balance. And I hope this is sinking in, because this is something too that's going to help us keep this person, keep the relationship, keep it on an even keel. And we're going to get to that in a few minutes. But the most important points, again, not feeling victimized because they're not there, right? You want to go to your best self. Victimized, it strips us of our power. It makes us feel like we're not whole and complete. We want to feel whole and complete, whether they're there or not. I know that sounds difficult if this is something you've been wanting for a long time, but this is really where things turned for me when I stopped feeling victimized that he wasn't there yet, and started living my life to the fullest capacity, whether he was there or not. That was when he came in really fast. And when I had uncreated him, he came in really fast again. Like, it's very, very, that, again, it's about power. And that power translates to the speed and strength at which the manifesting, the creating of that relationship will come through for you, will happen. Because you're the one doing it. You're the one making all this stuff happen. Really, it's a reflection. The outside world is a reflection of us, really. And so when we keep looking out there for this person and, reaching, that's when we need to stop. We need to establish an even power balance where we're as good with or without them. That is the challenge. So make your life as important. Instead of taking them off a pedestal, raise yourself up. If you have them up here, if you have this relationship up here and you're yearning and you're waiting, and bring your own life make it as important as that relationship, as them. Make it as important so that you have the same amount of joy and happiness as you would if they were there or not. And you can also do this, when you're using your imagination, when you're start crafting, if they're not there yet physically in the 3D reality, go in your imagination, spend time with them in your imagination, because that also is doing the same thing as bringing you up to that same level where you are, squeezing the joy and the love and the happiness out of the imaginary act as you are if they were in the 3D. And if that little voice in your head is like, yeah, but it's not the same. It has to be the same. It has to be. This is the part of active creation. It has to be the same. Because then it's that imbalance that creates toxicity. And the toxicity happens in any relationship or any situation where there is a power imbalance. So I hope that landed for you. That was one of my biggest takeaways. And now, how do we keep this person? So raise yourself up. You don't have to take them off the pedestal, but raise yourself up to the same level of importance, of value, so that it's even. Because that will also eliminate a lot of the tumultuousness, and this might be a different experience. So what I found was when I was in the relationship, now being in the relationship, you also have to be able to manage your story while you're in it. You have to be just as dogged and stubborn. I call it kind of stubbornness because that's what it feels like when you're in the relationship as when you're trying to create it. Because it's still about managing your story. Your story filters your reality. So you don't want to bring this in, which is what the mistake that I made. I brought it in. It was amazing for the first 6 weeks. And then what I thought, it looked like he panicked and we broke up. He broke up, he left. Then he came back within a couple days. We were together a few more months. And then he panicked and broke up again. And so I started seeing a pattern of like, okay, I need to stay strong despite what's happening. I need to stay in my vision despite what's happening. Because that, again, when you stay in your vision, right, if you're looking at the reality of, it's going like this, the relationship is on a roller coaster. But you are static, you're staying at this level where you can maintain the story and your vision. You're not going to be shaken by all of this. And so this is important for being in the relationship, because when you hit a bump in the road or you see maybe a pattern that has been in other relationships, where you feel triggered and you start to have stuff come up for yourself, or maybe the other person has stuff start to come up and they feel triggered. Staying even through that is very important, because then you're not, again, and I talk about this even power, when you're staying in your vision of like, this is the best relationship I've ever had. This is my twin flame relationship. Because when you hit a few snags and then you start taking these like more extreme stories as your truth, and then you're going to start adding evidence to them, right? If you can stay on that vision, it's like, you know what, we had a hard day yesterday, but this is my perfect relationship. This relationship is my twin flame relationship, and then you're making these very small micro adjustments instead of these huge, having to go on the roller coaster and put all this energy into trying to get back to the median point, right? You're on this roller coaster, you're trying to get back to the median. I know I'm talking with my hands a lot today. Thanks for staying in there. But sticking to that story, making sure that there is an evenness from your side so that when you have a little bit of a bump, it doesn't take that much to get back, right? And sticking to the story, staying in the story that you want, the vision that you want of this perfect, ideal, wonderful relationship is exactly what we want to do. Because I have heard a lot of spiritual teachers say that, twin flames are going to be tumultuous relationships, or that the soulmate relationship is actually, the one that's more, connected, whatever. Like, you can make the story whatever you want. You can believe anything you want about any term for a relationship. I like to think as twin flame as my most activated love potential. That's how I come at this from. And that's what I'm creating in my own relationship with my guy. So holding on to the story, even if you get a little bit distracted by a bump in the road and you're like, oh, maybe this isn't it, or maybe things are starting to go bad. Nope, get back to that story. Hold the story. Hold the story. And the more you practice that, the better you're going to get at it. And that is a challenge when you don't have the evidence that, when things, maybe you had a bad day, or they decide to break up with you. Hang in there. Hang in there. I'm telling you, holding that story is going to bring it back in and bring it back in better. And knowing that it's going to come back and conform to exactly what you want in that story, that's part of being very consistent and holding a kind of this straight line, this linear path of, and I call it power, but I guess you can call it like diligence to the story, or just your vision, being faithful to your vision for the relationship of how you want it to be. And that will get you exactly what you want, the results that you want every time. Like, I found this, you have to be dogged. You really have to be dogged about it. And then you'll get that amazing, awesome, twin flame, mind-blowing love that you've always been wanting. So, let me know what you think. Oh, one more tip for you before I go, is leverage your knowingness. And I invite you to check out the video on gut health, and I talk a little bit about using your gut to tap into your own knowingness. And when I think about my knowingness, it's actually like in my tummy. And so knowingness, like, that is part of keeping your story stable, right? Keeping on the same, holding to your vision is using your gut, actually putting the idea or feeling with your gut, from your gut space, to maintain that. I'm just like, I know it. I know this is going to happen. I know it. For 5 months, my guy and I were broken up last year, and I knew he was coming back. I knew it. I picked a piece of evidence that I was like, yeah, that means to me in my world that he is coming back. It was an incident that we had where he had shared some of the dreams that he was having, and I was like, I know he's coming back. I know he's coming back. I know it. And that helped me anchor my vision of, like, he's coming back and things are going to be amazing. And that is exactly what happened. So you can do this. Comment below. Let me know what struggles or challenges or questions you have about manifesting a twin flame, a specific person, the love of your life, creating this relationship, or keeping it. I'd be happy to answer them in the comments below. And if you are a highly sensitive person looking to create the love of your life this year, join me. I can help you create just that in my Flammable to Fireproof program. It is a 3-month guided journey where you have one-on-one support with me to create whatever you want to create this year. So I do have experience with this. I can help you manifest your twin flame and get you on the path that you need to be. So thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful month of love. Bye.